everyone for having come. It's truly a big honor to having been picked as the inspiration partner for such a renowned artist. I was asked to make somehow personal presentation of what my work is. I'm really not used to make presentations too personal, but I'm going to do an exception tonight. So what we try to study at CERN is what is the nature of matter, or if you want, what makes things matter. My line of work is actually to visualize that. So let me tell you where I come from, how I got here, and how we have been evolving over the last few years. So, you know, my mom used to work in a hospital, and of course, like every mom, she wants the best possible for her kids. So the best she knew for me was to become a doctor. But if you would see the subtle clues I was sending when I was 16, 17 years old, like that t-shirt, it was pretty clear that what I wanted to do was to study physics. Of course, my mom was very disappointed. And, well, I went on to, well, you know, getting in the road to become a respected physicist, maybe one day work at CERN or something. And it just so happens that I had a teacher in university that got interested by a hidden talent I had. You know, I had been studying as a hobby computer graphics. And she pretty much told me, why don't you do something useful with that? And actually relate it with the physics you're studying. So that's how I became a multimedia artist. So I ended up graduating in physics, but my line of work has been, and continues to be, proudly so, in visualization of physics and what is around physics. So having said that, let me tell you how I started. So fast forward a few years, and I was working for the Atlas experiment. So let me tell you what is the Atlas experiment very quickly. So you heard probably about the LHC, the Large Hadron Collider. The Large Hadron Collider is this 27-kilometer long accelerator. It's actually a ring, and we accelerate particles at incredible energies, and we make them collide at certain points. And these points where we collide them have devices, have apparatuses, which we call experiments. There are four main experiments along the ring of the LHC. One of them is the Atlas experiment. Actually, if you get out of the globe here, and you just look to a pretty building that has a beautiful, colorful mural right there, that's one of the surface buildings of the Atlas experiment. You can actually visit their visitor center. It's pretty cool, go there. So, as I was saying, what happens is that we accelerate these particles at very high energies, and then we collide them inside these devices. And, well, there's stuff that gets out of there, right? And this stuff is the stuff that interests physicists. Now, let me tell you something else about the Atlas experiment. It's not your regular high-end gadget, is way above that, okay? This is something that is 44 meters long by 25 meters high, that weighs about 7,000 tons, and that was built and is operated by a collaboration of about 3,000 people, which are sprung over 38 countries and belong to one of 174 institutes all over the world. This is huge. I mean, the LHC and the apparatuses that go around this are really the pinnacle of technological and scientific innovation on this planet. It's way beyond what the International Space Station or even the lunar program achieved. It's way more complicated. So, you see that I'm excited about this. Everyone was excited about this even before we built it. So the first thing I ended up visualizing was the actual parts of the detector, the hardware, the gadgets. When you have a cool gadget, whatever it is, you want to show it off, right? That's what we were doing. However, we were showing it off with style. We're using the tools that usually are reserved for artists, and we were trying to make something that is palatable. I choose some very technical images to show you on purpose because this actually is nothing new. I mean, if you look at the 1500s, Italian artists, like this is a drawing by Leonardo da Vinci, they did that. They were the masters of showing cool things that did not exist even at the time, and doing really cool technical drawings, which are undoubtedly art. And so is what we do. So this was even before the Atlas detector existed. We did a series of animations showing off, the operation of the detector, how does it detect particles, what we expect to see there. And eventually, we had to go to what are we building this thing for? Which is, as I told you before, to see the stuff that comes out of the collision of particles. So, in my career, I went then to a new phase where I was picking data. In the beginning, simulated data, and actually tried to visualize it. So there was a lot of excitement among the physics community about what could eventually be observed at these experiments. We had a good idea. There were simulations of data. So I'm showing you some renditions of some of this simulated data, showing some of the things we expected to find. Like this, for example, is a depiction of a supersymmetric event. So there's this phenomenon, I'm not going there, which is supersymmetry. It's one of the things we think that may be possible to find at the LHC. And if we find it, a supersymmetric event may eventually look a little bit like that. Here's one you have certainly seen. It's actually in the poster of this event. There are a lot of versions of this I've seen around. There's one in the corridor that leads to this room. If you look there, it's a variation of this. You would never tell, but this is actually what an infamous micro black hole looks like. So there was a time where people were asking questions about, well, what about eventually dangerous things that you may see at CERN and so on? Well, one of the things was a black hole. That's what it looks like. It's a fluff ball. I'm not scared of it at all. So, and then, well, they opened the doors of the candy shop, as a colleague of mine said, meaning they flipped on the switch of the accelerator, and we started getting real data. So all this work that physicists and engineers had worked for decades, in many cases, was finally going somewhere. So I'm going to show you a little animation that, well, you see here the LHC detector. We are crossing the French-Swiss border now. So we are in the beam pipe. This is a proton. In reality, we have billions of them in a bunch at once, but just bear with me. So, and it accelerates at very high energy towards the Atlas experiment, and it collides heads-on with another proton, and there you have it. This is a collision event. So, where this is different from the others I showed you before is that this is real data. This is real data. And it's not just some real data. I actually picked this one in particular because it depicts something that we found this event last year, depicts something that looks a little bit like, I'm not saying it is, but looks like what a Higgs boson event could eventually look like in case we find it. It's pretty exciting stuff. Stay tuned to the news for the rest of the year. So, this is cool. So we started showing off gadgets, then simulated data, then real data, then what? Then let's make it interactive. So let me show you a little toy that I built with a collaborator, which is called Camellia. This is actually like a simulator of the Atlas experiment. in a game-like environment. So you can explore the Atlas detector in great detail, or you can, if you want, actually load events from a database and even do real analysis about the way like physicists do. Here it is, a collision event. And well, this was me operating this a couple of days ago. And I'm going to find a new particle right there. By the way, this runs on Windows, on a Mac, in an iPad, in an iPhone, on Android, or even in your browser. We are trying to bring visualization of particle physics to the masses. That's you. So another cool thing that Camellia does is let you visualize live events. So you can actually stream data directly from the Atlas experiment and see collisions as they happen, more or less. Well, they happen about 1 billion times a second. Here you see one every 5 seconds or so, but you get the idea. You are as close to the action as possible in your cell phone. Okay, so for many years that I've been working on this, we have been small groups of people all over CERN doing separate yet cool things. We were certainly needing a little bit of structure and not needing to reinvent the wheel every time, and have some coherence in the style of what we're presenting and so on. So I would like to talk to you a little bit about the future, which is actually already the present, because we already started this. So the future in visualization and engaging multimedia at CERN is written with 3 words: CERN Media Lab. So this is a new structure, which was funded very recently, but which aims at, among other things, produce interactive media, animations, and content for exhibits. We actually have over our shoulders in the future the production of a lot of content for the CERN exhibits, so stay tuned to it. It's going to be really cool. And just to give you a little taste, because I have to wrap up, here's a simulation of a particle in the Higgs field. I'm not going into that, but just in short, there is this thing, which is the Higgs mechanism, which is by interacting with this Higgs field that a particle gains mass, is one of the things that is in the forefront of our research in particle physics. This is a little simulation with an interactive application that I've been developing. This is just to tell you how we are starting, and now this is where we are heading. And here I'm going to close full circle with the work of Gilles. What if we can give a human dimension to this? What if you can become the particle in the Higgs field? Pretty cool, huh? So, this is me being silly in my office, with my silhouette being captured by a Kinect, which is a device which is actually built for gaming. And I mean, the final stage is now. Just give us a couple weeks to actually be able to immerse anyone, me, you, inside the Higgs field. But it's cooler than that, because we are building a totally immersive environment where this is one of the many things you will be able to do. So be immersed inside the Higgs field, but you will be able to play proton football. You'll be able to become a quark. I just tell you, stay tuned. So, to be continued. Thank you very much.